So 1, 2, I need to go to 5, and then having the 5 finger on the... Hello everybody, hope you're doing well. This is a kind of new format, new series, new idea, so to say, where I share with you a complete practicing session. So we're going to practice today as a start the G sharp minor prelude and fugue of Bach. I never have played this piece, so we're going to work through this piece really from the bottom up. Focus here is on sharing my practicing session with you, in the hope, of course, that you somehow can learn something from it. I know many of you have been asking for that, also to repeat those practicing sessions with the Bach Sinfonias. Okay, so let's just start and see where we go. First thing you need if you start a new piece, regardless of the style, but certainly Bach, is a pencil and a sharpener. A sharp pencil you need always near your instruments. And my children know that these pencils, they are kind of red-brown with this eraser here. How do you call it in English? Anyway, it's one of the few things that's really, I'm vetoing taking these. So it's forbidden at the highest degree of being forbidden in the house. Of course, they disappear all the time. But not having a pencil next to your keyboard, there's one for the piano, there's one on the era, there's one here. It's a disaster. Well, not a disaster, but it makes it difficult to practice. So, in a way that if you don't make your fingerings, because that's what we're going to start with, and certainly for Bach, making fingerings is giving you structure in the piece. It's giving you insight in the piece. It slows down also the practicing process. You're not jumping way ahead where you should be or where you are at the moment. In this case, we are nowhere because it's a completely new piece. And so while making fingerings, and again, regardless whether you do it quote-unquote historical, which is a subject for debate, it's difficult, historical fingerings, but anyway, a kind of historical fingerings, or what you think is historical, or might be historical, or modern. It doesn't matter in this sense that making fingerings give you insight in the process of the video. So let's go. You might see if this video takes more than 30 minutes, that there is kind of editing cuts because the videos are only recording, cameras are only recording 29 minutes. Once in the far future, we should be able to record the videos on computer directly, and then we can record sessions of 2 days if we want. Okay, there we go. So G sharp minor, that's a perfect piece to share with you because that's a difficult key on an historical keyboard. I haven't played the clavichord for a while because of this Mr. Frenzel here, but next week I have a concert, and so it's time to start practicing again. And I want to continue the World Temperature Clavier. That's a huge project. Okay, there we go. So typically I just start playing and messing up with my fingerings, you'll see. Oh, it's different than the piano. So tempo, don't pay attention to that. This is a practicing session. I basically am thinking about which notes I have to take over with my left hand that are actually notated in the upper stave. A lot of black keys, white keys in this case, which doesn't make it easy on the clavichord. Although it's okay, it works. Obviously, this is going to be all in the left hand. For these things, it's interesting to see the manuscripts because many times Bach will have divided the left hand and the right hand. But in this case, of course, I don't know. It might be just like this in one of the manuscripts. Okay, here we have to take over with the right hand. We indicate it like this. I do that. So, and the fingering that we are going to make I 99% stick to that. Of course, sometimes things happen in the concert, but fingerings also will be a guide. And if you are nervous in the concert, they will guide you to those moments. What an harmonies! Oh my God! Then in such keys, I always watch. I don't know how that's with you. If I don't miss any of the sharps, so we have 5 here, obviously. So the E is not included. So, and suddenly, if you play slow, you can hear sometimes weird harmonies. What do you think of this? This is C sharp. I don't know what to do with that. I don't like passages where you have this in the right hand. You know, that's a complete figure, or kind of. It leads, of course, to the E, but visually, it's in the group of 6 years together. So if you want to interrupt, so to speak, this group by having this in the right hand, which sometimes is inevitable, but that's the thing you have to avoid as much as possible. But you have to jump in the left hand. So what are we going to do? Difficult here. This is not really keyboardist, so to say. So, Mr. Bach, if I can make a phone call to you. No, it might be. I don't know the history of the World Temperate Clavier that well. It might be just a work that he has transposed to G sharp minor to fit in his 24 keys, and that doesn't work really well in this finger. Although until now, I think it works fine. But this is, of course, in 3 voices pieces all the time. You have this middle voice that goes from the left to the right hand, and it makes it sometimes more difficult than a 4 voice piece or 2 voice. 2 voices are difficult too. So here you have to right hand to assist, but the right hand has this C sharp here. But anyway, right hand has to do it. So not complaining. I mean the right hand. Just do its job. Also here the B, I could take it. I'm just verbally phrasing my thoughts here. I could take the B in the left hand, but again, the left hand is preparing for this run. If I can keep it in the right hand, make it more efficient, easy, I would say. There the right hand needs to take over the middle voice in the lower stave. Okay. The whole passage is obviously here the middle voice with the right hand. Okay. So this is, this is B, C double sharp, and the trill starts with F sharp. When I was younger, I was told that Bach was a conservative composer. This is 1722, something like that, maybe earlier. Difficult trill here, certainly on clavichords, because upper note, lower note. This is easier on a harpsichord, where you have sound anyway, but here you don't have sound. if you don't do it, don't give every note its right pressure. Certainly at the end. At the end it's difficult to end the trill. Okay, we practice that later. It's beautiful how these voices tell a story actually already now. Just sight reading. Ah, beautiful. I sometimes wonder, these notes were tight, like the A sharp. Of course, if you play it on a harpsichord, you have a longer tone. But it's so beautiful to repeat them. If you are a singer, I can imagine that you have a little bit crescendo on the A sharp, where the accent should fall, so on the beginning of the bar. And I sometimes just don't play the tight notes, just repeat them. If it's not too harsh of an harmony. Just checking the camera. The voices are perfectly divided here, I think. Okay. Wow. This was the lowest note for the instrument he wrote the well-tempered clavier for. Not exceeded the 4 octaves. Did he exceed for the D? I don't think so. Now messing up with the partitas. The partitas have a compass from G to D, which was the Adlung instrument. We're going to make some videos on that. Joris has done some incredible work in researching this and building actually an instrument according to the principles Adlung is describing. That's another video, but here Bach managed to keep the compass of the well-tempered clavier more restricted, probably to make it more accessible for students. Not every student had an instrument that went from G to D, rather modern compass at the same time. Beautiful. Typical Bach figure. Da 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 dee da dum bum. Also here, C sharp, holding. This is so nice. So sweet actually, it's like nostalgia in music. Oh, it's unexpected, this A major. Of course then. Beautiful. Okay. It's lovely to play on the clavichord again. You know, I have some troubles with the tuning here, the Frenzel, which might be partly because it was so long time on 440, I bring it back to 430. But anyway, this feels so direct, so one-to-one with the musician. It's a wonderful instrument. I mean, this is a wonderful clavichord, but clavichord in general. Okay, so what we're going to do now is just make the fingering. And since we have divided left and right hand, which will be a little bit more difficult in the fugue, probably, sometimes it depends, it's easy, sometimes it's difficult. And with Bach often it is difficult. Then we can go ahead and write fingerings. It should be wonderful to have, that's a long time dream, to have an assistant writing the fingerings while playing. Left hand is okay because I'm right-handed, so when I play the left hand I can write simultaneously, but right hand obviously I have to, you know what I mean. Okay, so let's start with the left hand. Here we have to make a lot of decisions whether we are going to violate the rule, also quote unquote, the general rule to avoid as much as possible the fifth and the first finger on the black keys, here the white keys. That's something we have to violate a lot because this is not a key that is regular. Who's playing every day in G sharp minor? I don't. And so we'll see where we come. So for instance, here we start with 4-2. Let's check that. Let's just try that. Then we have already the thumb on the D sharp. So one thing what is clear here from what you always have to do, or try to do, is think about which tempo are you going to play eventually. This for me is no way a fast piece because there is so much happening. We will speed up, of course, compared to the sight reading tempo. But fingering is in correlation with, like tempo is deciding everything. And fingering is part of that. So if you want to play it much faster, you might have to reconsider fingerings. And sometimes you have to do that. You cannot know everything up front, which is great. I'm not going to listen to recordings now, how Leonard or others are playing this piece. I never do that. And I don't think you should too. You can do that once you have an idea of how you would play it. Or if you have really questions. How on earth is this work going to work? Then listen to recordings of great musicians. And then copying is okay. Because even when you copy, you will develop your own style. It's how everybody in the past learned, perhaps our generation. We want to be creative and individual styles, and I mean, I don't believe in that so much. Difficult. With clavichord I cannot play the C sharp here. There's a kind of accent perhaps here even. I have to release this, the B to the A sharp. I'm not going to play this with my fifth finger because then my hand is in an awkward position. Not doing that. So I need the second finger here. I might return from that later, but for the moment, sometimes you make fingerings and they don't work. And then of course you have to reconsider, but for the moment, one has to make a decision. Okay. No finger substitutions with Bach. That's for me a rule. Not saying that don't feel, kind of attacked by it if you have another opinion. But that's something I don't think they used a lot. And it kind of always works. That principle holds for longer. Mozart as well, for me. So going from 5 to 5 to 5, it's a normal practice that you see in CPE Bach, for instance, still. 3-5. By the way, if you want to have my fingering of the pieces I record, the $5 tier level of my patrons, they get my fingering. If it's score that I can use, that's fine. Like this is no copyright. Well, the Dover maybe, but it's for study purposes. I scan the fingering and you get the copy. I'm always late, by the way, by delivering my rewards. They come instead at the beginning of the month, at the end, but usually they get there. Fingering is one of the underestimated performance practice research tools. So I start with the B with the 4 of the 5. This doesn't feel right. 5, 4, 3, no. And then we go to the 1, there's Anya coming. And here a 4. This is kind of not early 18th century fingering. So here Bach clearly opens, I'm checking just the cameras here. Okay, I'm just going to switch the cameras, so not switching them, but making sure the video continues. So we're back, hopefully. This camera is already plugged into the wall socket, so it's on light. Why do you say that in English? AC, DC, power. That camera I've ordered an adapter, so I need to keep an eye on the battery. So, it's already 25 minutes, so with 5 minutes introduction, this seems to be a long time for just a Bach prelude to start and not even have finished the fingering of the left hand of the second line. But the more time you take at the beginning, the faster your practicing process will go. There are my friends here, the airplanes. They keep the area safe with all these historical pianos, you know. I have a video course that I might be upgrading in the next months, but still the essence is there about, it's called Basic Keyboard Elements, but I think I should rename it in more how to practice fast, because that it is. Practicing starts here. The fingers are only following the impulses you give through your brain. So the better you have to see it as a computer, but an incredibly fast one. The better you make your program, the faster you're going to reproduce that without mistakes. The brain is very good in remembering, but only the first thing you give as an input. So if you make a mistake, you will have a lifetime of challenges to repair all those mistakes. I would like to have 3-5 here, but it doesn't work that well. 5 on the B, sharp. That's not going to work. On the piano I can do that, on the clavichord it's no, that's not going to work. No, 5 and 1 neither. What are we going to do? Okay. This is one of the passages also with the C sharp here. So I can play over it and do something, but I want to fix this. Anyway, my hand is going to make a movement. A movement leads to an accent. Clavichord, piano, even a harpsichord, because you have a release here. And so it's important. Yeah, so I'm going to use 2-5, then 1, which gives this G sharp and A sharp the possibility to play more or less cantabile, and then I remove my first finger, I not glide to the B, but I release it, and then I have a little accent on the B, which is fine. And here I don't have to pay attention to the C sharp. I can go, so that's the reason why I use 2-1, A sharp, I go to the F double sharp, and that's a jump, so I can prepare in this little pause for the left hand. Okay, and then I'm going to play the C sharp with the first finger. I don't think I'm going to do that. There is an articulation mark here, phrasing. I'm not jumping too quick, just releasing it slowly. Yeah, okay. Well, I think I can take the B with it. Let's do that, because the left hand is prepared for the B anyway. And then we go here to the second. Two. So first finger E sharp, and then going to the third is something I don't like, because that's skipping one finger. It's done in that time, so that's not a problem. I mean, but not too often if you can avoid it. And it's also good here, because if I skip a finger, I have to be aware of skipping a finger. But if I don't do it, I come with and I have to go down here. I can A sharp with 5, but then perhaps that's, yeah, perhaps that works. Let's try. So 2, 3, 1. Just let's try 2. Czerny certainly would do this differently, but there he is in a way more. Yeah, that's a different fingering system. It's interesting to see, and I'm not fully aware of the principles. Just this idea pops up in my head. It's nothing to do with what we're doing now. So 1, 2. I need to go to 5, and then having the 5 finger on the B will force me to play an accent. Then I go to 2, which is a little bit awkward because I skipped the third finger here. But again, this is a key that has 3, 2, 1, has a lot of exceptions compared to the rules. The rules are not given for playing in C sharp major, things like that. This was new. We think today that Bach made a huge impact in his day with this, and in his circles he certainly did. But imagine how much people first knew the existence of the w.a.mozart clavier, which was not in print, and secondly, how much could play this. So we sometimes overestimate the scale of those people, and then generalize things that are in this score, which of course create a musical evolution later, but in his time these were very small circles who played the w.a.mozart clavier. Beethoven played the w.a.mozart clavier in Bonn, probably on clavichord. Neve, his teacher, was B flat major, but playing A sharp, C double sharp, E sharp. Great. His teacher was an agent for Friederici, clavichords like this. It might still exist, that instrument. have to take over the A sharp. So the D sharp, I want to have direct the finger I need. Maybe not 2, but 3 is better. So 4, and we will not escape repeating the first finger here. 5, 3. Also Mozart, he wrote a bit of clavier. In the Sunday morning concerts in, I think, the library not the library of, but Baron von Swieten. Wasn't he responsible for the library somewhere in Vienna? And there were these Sunday concerts where Mozart played the w.a.mozart clavier from a copy that von Swieten brought over from Berlin, where he also played with Emanuel Bach. And I think those concerts were on clavichord. Mozart also, his father was agent for Friedrich, so gigantic network. So sometimes people say, well, Mozart, did they play clavichord? Yeah, that's by default, because he was economically partly dependent on the sales of clavichords to his father. Don't know the details, and I think much has to be researched on that. By starting by taking the clavichord more as a serious instrument for those people. There was not just a practice instrument. And practice instrument in the way that Bach's Klavierübung was a bundle of practicing pieces, like the Bach partitas are part of the Klavierübung. But it's not the beginning practicing, it's like finishing. If you are an accomplished player, yeah, then you play the Bach partitas. We today, of course, have different standards. We have played Rachmaninoff, then the Bach partitas certainly still are difficult, but in a different way than they were originally. Okay, here we have a finger. Let's see what I prefer the third finger over the fifth. Five, 3, 2, avoiding here a nice effect. Avoiding the first finger on the G sharp for reasons that otherwise you have this, you have to push your hand forward. It doesn't work on a clavichord. And on any instrument it gives a poorer sound. Also modern piano. So A sharp, first finger, it's not a big deal because all the fingers are on sharps. And then here 4, 2, 1, we have to jump. I could go to 5, but it's a less secure finger than 4. Then skip to 5, 3. Try to repeat the fingering here. I'm not able to because here we don't have 3 sharps. We start with A. So that's a different hand position. Always search for a natural hand position. And if possible, repeat the same fingering or kind of with similar patterns of figures, because then the chances are big that you're going to play them exactly equal. Here 4 feels awkward too, but because of this doesn't work. You have to twist your hand pen. I think I'm going for 5, which is not a perfect solution, but this is difficult. So I'm violating rule after rule here, Emanuel Bach. Why didn't he make a fingering for the w.a.mozart clavier? Actually, this feels right. I'm going to do 4-2, just 5, and then, oh no. Yeah, here you have a phrasing, so you have time to remove your hand and go to a different position. I think that's okay. There's a sound with... something is resonating with the clavichord. I was waiting for the moment where she's going to punish me for playing way too much piano. Hear that? That's what to do with the bottom. Clavichord has an enormous resonance. It's sometimes underestimated, really. 4, I have to continue to 5 because I have to assist the middle voice with the left. If I take the first finger on A sharp, my third finger will be way up here between the keys, and that's something I don't want. So I'm going for 2 and then 1. I can take 2 because this B sharp is going to be in the right hand. Okay, that was the left hand, so now the right hand. And if we have completed the right hand, there's actually, I'm checking the battery there. The camera I will see. So if we complete the right hand, then it's a matter of just practicing it very slow with the fingering and then keeping it slow a few days. Your memory needs a few days to memorize everything. So you will see there is a morning where you wake up and suddenly the notes feel very, as if you played a piece for years. So I start with 2 and then 1. I should position the 1 perhaps above the right note. Playing, by the way, from the Dover edition. I do that since I bought this score, you see, way back. I was 16 or so. And it's a reprint of the first Bach Gesellschaft edition. So this is okay. It's a very good edition. Here's a problem. If I do this, 1 and 2, how am I going to reposition my hands? So. But on the other hand, 2 is... here's a place where you would like to have a substitution. 1 is not an option here because you go from B to A sharp. It gives an articulation gap, and that's something we really don't want to have here. So there's no escape from this, and sometimes you see that if you follow these rules a little bit, no substitution, you have to release your hand, but that the articulation gaps leads to your phrasing to a new motive that actually works great sometimes. Oops. There goes my pencil for the first time. When I played the organ, there was also always a little rope here because it fell between the pedals, obviously. And of course, always it's on such a place that you couldn't reach. Okay, 1, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2. This is a little bit easier because the right hand has only one voice here. Here we have a kind of trill. I would dare to take 1, 3 and then 4. So repositioning the hand within a motive. This is... at the time advanced stuff. Here on this keyboard, which has these Saxon dimensions, I would say, you can easily play 5-2 on C sharp, D sharp, which was used at the time. So the keyboard has a little bit more narrower than modern keyboards. So if you play this on a modern piano, you might have to compromise there a little bit. Also here you move in between the black keys, the upper keys, but there's no escape from doing that. And then we come from above and we need to assist the left hand which goes down. So how are we going to do it then? Fifth finger on an upper key on an historical keyboard is, with a jump, always a risk. But no escape from doing that. I would continue here 1, then 3. I hope I remember the fingering right. Wait. This works actually fine. Just checking in on that camera sometime because that battery is going to die. Okay, then here we have a melody in both. We want, but yeah, we have to sacrifice one voice for the perfect kind of cantabile legato. That's not the legato we would use for Chopin, but it's a kind of non-articulated sound or progression of notes. So if we give priority to the upper voice, logically, then we have something really awkward, really not nice. B sharp to C sharp, 1 1. This is best. 5 1 4 2. For these kind of fingers, I would very much love to see Bach's own. What would he have taken? Because we might think that, well, one of more substitutions, that's not a problem. Actually, Emanuel Bach is really against this, not all the times, but only use it when really necessary. And this actually goes way beyond Bach, even Czerny, looking into his fingerings for Bach, for Beethoven now. So little substitutions. And then what with legato? Because there you are on a piano. It's different. So I need to have the second finger here because we need to assist for the C sharp, 5, and this is 1. Let's see where we go. I think this. So now we have an articulation gap in the upper voice, but that doesn't matter. I think it works nice. So if the fingering can be made in function of what you need as articulation, that's great, of course, because then you don't have to think anymore on the articulation. It happens by default. Rom, pom, it's natural. And I don't need to go below the C sharp here because their left hand takes over. Thank you, left hand. Here the hand is opening in a way. See, I think that's what's meant here. Let's try. So you try to keep your hand in the same position as much as possible, a little kind of closed position. Yeah, I write this fingering 2 because it's just, again, 25 minutes, my God. Because this is something I normally automatically would skip to 5-4, but I need the 5th finger on the F sharp to continue. So go to 5. Also things that are obvious. If you are writing your fingerings, to write the obvious things. Not all of them, but sometimes something is obvious, but under a kind of pressure for a concert or whatever, it's not obvious anymore. And moreover, here I go from B to A sharp with 1. No problem, because the music can use an accent there. Same here. So in a concert or years later, you take the piece again, always make a copy, scan your score. Your fingerings are gold. I mean, I will have worked an hour perhaps on this prelude. Could do it a little bit faster without sharing my ideas or thoughts with you, but anyway, 30 minutes, if you multiply that one page 30 minutes by all the pages you play, that's your capital as a musician. So make a scan of it, make sure to back up, and if you play the piece years later, start slow again, read your finger, and here your brain doesn't forget anything. You will gain access to what's been captured in your brain. And then you will be amazed how fast first finger on the C sharp, yes, we'll do that, and then we go. Left hand is taking over. Second finger. Reposition the hand. I have to take this over from the left hand. I end with the third finger here. We could go to 2, but then in this case I would do that. That feels as a really late 18th century finger. I'm going to... So there we are again. Where is my pencil? Here it is. And so, where did we end? Here. Okay. Feels indeed more later 18th century. But again, that's first of all a difficult key. And also 3 voices lead to... It's sometimes more difficult, 3 voices than 4. What are we going to do here? I could go to a first finger on the G sharp, because it would lead to a gap, articulation gap, but I need that. Da-dum-pum. Maybe that's okay. It's difficult though, because you jump on the upper note. And pianists will say, well, what's difficult on that? But that's an historical keyboard with very much smaller upper keys. It's not designed for playing in these keys, actually. No wonder keyboard dimensions changed in the 19th century. Here I could go to 3, but I have to play 3. I hope you see that on that camera. With really up front, I cannot play the 3 here. It doesn't work. So that's okay. So you know, if you play the clavichord, to play this 3 on the front side of the key. Second finger. Here I can change on the C sharp. Same as we had previously. Where was that? Here. So let's follow the same fingering if we can. 4, 2, 3, 1. 4, 2, 1, 2. Let's see how this works. This is okay, but I want to check it while playing. 5th finger and then 4, 2. Second finger, 3rd one. Oh, that doesn't feel right. Let's have a 3rd finger here. Fine, 2nd finger can stay, no problem. 5, 3, I end. 1, 2, 4, I guess. When I started playing the w.a.mozart clavier on clavichord, so back in 2009, of course not as focused as I would do it now, but I had all these pieces, so the 48 pieces I would say, all preludes and fugues, on little papers, and Sophie could drag one. She was 4 or 5, and then the ones she dragged out of these little papers, I would practice. And then she had trouble at the time. She was a little bit scared at the time, typical for children at that age, going to sleep alone. And so I stayed with her until she slept, which sometimes took hours. So I took the w.a.mozart clavier with me, and many of those fingerings of those pieces I practiced back then were made actually while lying in my bed, just trying to feel the notes as if I was playing the keyboard. And it's difficult to do, but really, really, really good. Practicing without a keyboard. Of course, sometimes, often, always actually, I needed to correct some of those fingerings while playing them really, but not so much. And sometimes it was impossible to feel, so to say, what was the right fingering, but those were actually good sessions. Except those where I fell asleep as well. Okay, so now we have finished everything, and we are going to see where this leads us to. So playing both hands together, very slow, that I can read not only the right notes, remember, giving the right input, the correct input, and as much as possible, and also reading the fingerings as I have written. So this is purely a technical reading. Oh, that was difficult. Playing slow and thinking fast. That's the key, I think, to many. To practicing fast. Besides being very relaxed. There's no feeling of emergency now. I can read ahead, know what is in front. Always read the notes that are before what you're playing. I was thinking indicating the theme entrances, which sounds obvious, but again, sometimes you miss one. Here in the middle voice, that's difficult. Okay. I'm going faster, it's not what I should do, so I go slower again. Again. Also these releases, which are difficult here, practice the relaxation here. Relax. Because what will happen if you play a little bit faster, you will get tensed for reaching the notes as fast as possible, which is the exact results in the exact opposite of what you want to achieve. Wow. Here, theme for Prelude. If we want to make an ending here, I need to change the fingering. So maybe I should do that. It's taking a risk on clavichord, by the way. Theme entrance. Not too fast. So I'm speeding up again. I can feel that I'm trying to go. You switch to emergency pilot, sight reading. It's the same. Sight reading is emergency solving. I mean, solving problems on the go, which is great, but not while practicing. By the way, if you see a very fast animal crossing the cameras, that's our cat. He just came in and he feels, yes, definitely too much energy. That's the reversed subject. I'm missing a lot of these. Here's one again, so that will come over time. You could analyze these up front also. It's the reverse theme. It's incredible, complicated stuff. You need to have a 5 here, don't mess up. A normal B. E, I mean. Oops. So I'm explicitly not sight reading. I'm sight reading, but I want to. But sight reading, you are jumping in blocks because you need to continue the piece in a way that's nice to hear already. I'm studying now, so my brain needs to be ahead. So sometimes things go wrong that you say, how on earth can you not read this? But I want to have a secure input every time. So sometimes the buffer here is just full and I need to start again. Play a little bit slower sometimes, and it's almost an hour now, I think. So I'm getting a little bit of tired. Team, right hand, beautiful. It's too fast. Oh, beautiful. No. Okay. I think that was, for one practicing session, enough for me at least. So what I've done now, making fingerings, going through the piece, try to understand the basic concepts. Again, you could analyze the piece up front. I rarely do that. I analyze the piece while going, and it's mostly nothing more. In case of Bach and theme entrances, I will put little circles so I don't miss any of them. Try not to miss any of them. And so also to make clear the voices on the clavichord, which is great on the clavichord. You can put another register if you want to emphasize a little bit the theme entrances. My microphone has gone up, which it should do. Anyway, so the next thing I will do is play this tomorrow, again very slowly. If I would add another practicing session for the fugue for myself, maybe I'll record it. I mean, I can do that, but this G sharp, the Prelude, I need to practice very slow again. few times. If it's a really difficult piece, more difficult even than this, or a longer piece, I will cut it into pieces. You are working with your short-term memory now. You have to be aware of that when you practice. So if you see some patterns by experience or by just learning the language of the music, you can use that short-term memory more. It becomes bigger, but overall you have to get a feel of it, because if you are going to practice complete pieces, what you've learned of what you try to practice at the beginning will be wiped out at the end, because there's only so much space that goes into this little head. When you do it every day, you will see that you shift from short-term memory to long-term memory, and that's the moment where you can think on slowly starting to take the tempo that you want, whatever that is. So also if you want to reach light speeds or warp speeds even, this is the way to go. And this will enable you actually to play very fast if that's your goal. Okay, so, well, if you're still here after 55 hours of video, let me know in the comments what you think about this. And again, if we are in the studio later, these sessions could go live way more, maybe not always on hours that's convenient for all of you. We have an audience and at both sides of us, United States, but as well in most more eastern countries, like Japan, for instance. And so we'll see what time is right for that. Doing this not live, again, rips the power, so to say, of being in one virtual place all together, but gives me the option of doing this perhaps a little bit more, because the only thing I need to do now is just take the footage from both cameras and from my computer, bring it together in Sony Vegas and render the video and upload it. And I will not be even thinking on having fancy titles and thumbnails. This is of course something for our community. This is not the type of video that people will click on when they don't know us as a community. It's for you. It's a hardcore community video, but it's the most essential thing that I can do is sharing in detail, one-to-one, as we did now, the way I practice. So if you like that, let me know, and certainly give this video a thumbs up. I should ask it more because it seems to be interesting and important for YouTube to do that. This interaction, YouTube likes to see that. And if you're new here anyway, think about subscribing to this channel, because then we see each other very soon again. If you hit the bell icon, YouTube is really hard on that. So if you hit the bell and you subscribe, then we for sure see each other very soon again. Thanks for watching and being here with me, and till the next time. Bye.